Welcome to SEC Plus. Gary Laney of Advanced Digital here with you. And to my right, you'll see Ron Higgins of NOLA.com, Andrew Gribble of AL.com. And now that Kentucky and Arkansas played their spring game over the weekend, we are officially done with spring football practices in the SEC. And guys, what jumped out at you? Let's start with you, Andrew. What team maybe jumped out at you a little bit this spring?
Well, I think Mississippi State is entering the year with kind of the same kind of buzz that maybe Ole Miss had at this time last year, where you're looking for a team that really maybe finished out the year strong like Mississippi State did, then had a good spring and really no issues off the field and things like that. And I think with there's a lot of talk about quarterback play everywhere in the SEC, how there's going to be a lot of unknowns. Mississippi State's one of the few schools with a known, and that's Dak Prescott, who really you can make an argument could be a potential one of the best quarterbacks in the entire conference. And they had a lot of young players last year that are coming back. And then on defense, you could have one of the better players in the entire league on defense in Chris Jones. So kind of a lot of good things falling into place at Mississippi State. And again, it's when you're not making news in the spring where things are usually going pretty well. And I think Mississippi State falls into that category.
Yeah, and there's a lot of optimism coming out. I think Dan Mullen was pretty straightforward with how optimistic they are over there. And when you talk about the quarterback situation, it's not just Dak Prescott. Damon Williams had a good camp for him, got to play some last year, and he had a good spring game. Ron, speaking of quarterbacks having a good spring, it looks like Jeff Driscoll's really catching on to Kurt Roper's offense over there at Florida. Maybe Florida finally gets some good quarterback play now.
Finally got an offense, which is amazing. I mean, in a state that has probably the best athletes in America for high school football, you've had a Florida offense that hasn't, ever been really, I think, ranked higher than 10th the whole time Will Muschamp has been at Florida, and that's been a concern, especially Florida's history of great offenses under Spurrier and Urban Meyer that always put up a lot of points, and now they're begging for points. That's why they brought in Kurt Roper, who's been on Devin Close staff at Ole Miss and at Duke. And now they bring him into Florida. He's playing up tempo, the no huddle stuff. They went for like almost 700 yards in the spring game. I know spring games are spring games, still 700 yards in anything is pretty impressive. And I think Florida fans are just begging to see some offense. I mean, Driscoll was good at times last year before he got hurt, but just never would seem comfortable in the offense that Brent Peace was doing. So now you got a Roper, you got a fresh start. We'll see what happens. Muschamp during a good year. After 4-8 last year and 3-5 in the SEC, he needs a good year. He needs to show improvement. Jeremy Foley as AD loves him, but there's only so much. There's a limit to love when people stop coming to games and there's empty seats.
Yeah, and we're Florida and Mississippi State may be pretty pleased with what's going on at quarterback this spring. The teams you guys cover, Alabama and LSU, maybe a little bit of trepidation there. I mean, Alabama has Jacob Coper coming in, and they after this spring, he almost has to be good because there wasn't much confidence with what else happened. And Ron at LSU, it seems like there's a controversy. Let's go to you first, Ron. Should LSU fans be concerned about the quarterback position?
Well, I mean, I love this. I think every year you hit a lot of places. They say, I don't know if you call it controversy. I think you just call it competition. And I mean, brought Brandon Harrison in the spring as a freshman, quartered early, and has made it a competition. And had a really good spring game. Anthony Jennings didn't look great in the spring game, but he still has experience. And I think this is something to take a good look at in the fall. I mean, Anthony Jennings could even start the first game just because he does have experience in game over Brandon Harris, but that could change very quickly. So, yeah, I think it's a good, healthy competition. I think it's good to have a competition like that. And I think and early on, LSU will rely on their running game because they really have to, and they have a bunch of good running backs led by Leonard Fournette. I mean, as far as the freshmen coming in, but they have other good backs.
And Andrew, how about Alabama? Should Alabama fans be concerned about the quarterback position? Will Jacob Coker be able to come in and be what they need him to be?
There's always a degree of unsettlement, being a little worried about something when it's not settled. But I think all indications are that Jacob Coker is the front runner for this job, and what happened during the spring probably hasn't changed much of it. But a lot of focus was directed at the spring game, and that's understandable. It was on national TV, and 73,000 fans were there to see it. But all indications are that Blake Sims had a very good spring. The teammates really like him, and what the Blake Sims that performed at A-Day was not what the players and coaches had seen at practice during the first 14 practices. So I think it's all about maintaining Sims' confidence, and maybe that'll turn up, and he'll rise to the occasion now when Jacob Coker gets on campus. Cooper Bateman had a good spring game too, so I think fans are kind of optimistic about his future as well. But I think the excitement for Jacob Coker to arrive was only elevated after what happened at the spring game.
All right, there you have it. Headlines around the SEC this spring as we hit the official summertime pattern now, and before you know it, August will be here. For Ron and Andrew, I'm Gary Laney. See you guys next week.